Hello, friends. I'm DJ Lance Rock, and I have to say, Rock and Roll Grad School is awesome!
This is Rock and Roll Grad School with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling. Would you like us to assign someone to worry your mother?
Hello, kitties. We are going to have a real good time together. We're going to thrash it out. Can we say that?
Wow. We can,
yeah.
but
you're the wordsmith over here. Go for it.
I wasn't
Get it.
trying to be, I wasn't opposed to your choice of words, just your
Okay.
delivery of said words.
Sorry. So we are speaking with David Ellefson, the bassist from Kings of Thrash, who formerly of Megadeth. He is playing in the US in June, in the UK in July, in Australia in July, where they are playing all of Peace Sells, but Who's Buying all the way through. And then in October in the UK with the Kings of Thrash doing highlights from, I believe it's Euthanasia. And also Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good.
Yes.
So a lot of metal talk today, which was a lot of fun.
Yes, it's super cool.
And speaking of metal talk and speaking of summer, I don't know if you are on their mailing list. You probably, I would be shocked if you aren't. But Kiss is all ready for summer. If you are not,
They are.
They are. So obviously your Psycho Circus card deck, anytime of year, that's good.
Yes.
Your puzzles, anytime. The End of the Road dartboard, still available anytime, night or day, whether it's sunny or rainy. But the Psycho Circus cornhole set is now available.
Excellent.
And I immediately clicked on it because I had to check the what do you call them? The things the bean bags. They go into a clown's mouth, not like Ace Frehley's.
Oh.
Shouldn't you really be able to just throw it into the demon's mouth? Wouldn't that
I
make
would
sense?
totally have it. Yeah. Shouldn't it actually be a skee ball and you roll it up the demon's tongue?
That would be amazing. They also have other versions. There's an End of the Road one, Love Gun, Destroyer, of course.
Of course.
And then I don't know if this is pickleball legal. Oh, you can also get a live too. There is an End of the Road ping pong paddle set.
Oh.
Where you can hit things with Tommy Thayer's face on them.
All right. Well, I mean, that works.
I don't know.
Oh, you have the pickleball set has to be Ace Frehley.
You would think. And then a lot of beer
you
pong
have
tables.
to be like saying ack as you hit the ball.
Oh my God, I bet we should cut the teaser video for them of like the Williams sisters at Wimbledon and just dub in ack every time they hit the ball. That'd be perfect.
Wait, could we? But I think we should play actual tennis, not pickleball.
Well, this is ping pong, which is weird because you literally have
No, but we're creating a whole new sport. Like we're creating a whole new product line.
Oh, okay, right.
And I think we should do tennis, like real tennis. No, not like anti other forms, but we're gonna play real tennis.
We love them all, yes.
Right. And we're gonna play and we're gonna say ack when we hit the ball. Like, and we're gonna have really, really cool like tennis outfits, circa Royal Tenenbaums, but they're going to be completely like Kiss Army tennis outfits.
What do you do for footwear?
Oh, they went immediately to footwear. I want like tennis boots, tennis platform boots.
Right. That just seems dangerous.
With a tennis skirt. Oh no, it's fine. As long as they're like, but it'll have to be platform. They can't be heel. They'll have to be like
Well,
platform.
please.
They can be
Yeah, come
healed,
on.
but they have to be platform heel, like a
No,
wet.
let's be reasonable. If we're not animals here.
Right.
You know, usually when we talk with folks, there's something to promote. I feel like you've got so much stuff going on. Are you busier than ever? It seems like that. Or does it just feel that way?
Just a day in the life. It's always
Yeah.
like for me, I mean, it's funny, for the most part, I'm doing a whole world tour. I'm just playing
that's
with
it?
different people while I'm doing it.
Mm.
Instead of doing one world tour with one artist, it's kind of like I'm just going wherever I'm needed,
How are you enjoying it? Is it more enjoyable than not quote unquote being stuck with one band, but sort of like the challenges as a musician on every leg have got to be a little bit different, and the dynamics of the personalities got to be just changing all the time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've done it both ways, of course, probably for the first 20 years of my, career, was always, of course, with Megadeth, and then, look, when that disbanded in 2002, that forced me to get my hustle muscle going and start really hit the ground running and smiling and dialing. And, this is what they told me when I did phone sales when I first moved to California. I hated it. And I remember the phone sales guy, Mike Green, he goes, "This is good for you because you're a small town guy and, you've grown up in a small community and now you're out here in LA and the big fish, and he said, this is, as a musician, you're always selling yourself." And I hated that. I was like, but he was right. I mean, because the reality of it is once you start playing professionally, finding time to actually play music is the smallest part of it. You're busy doing this, obviously.
Mhm.
I was just talking to management right before this. So I just had a phone call with Jeff Young. We're setting up our, Taco Tuesday. It'll be Taco Wednesday, which is our sort of, we get together, usually, to have our sort of regrouping to sort of forecast what we're going to be doing in Summer of Thrash with Kings of Thrash coming up in June. So, and even Jeff and I were talking because we've got Summer of Thrash, we've got the Australia, Wake Up Australia tour, which is going to be a different set list with Peace Cells, with Chris Paulin with us. And then we've got another set list for the UK coming up in October, November, which will also include some 30th anniversary euthanasia songs. So, 3 different set lists. And, we kind of know the meat and potatoes of it because it's what we've been doing. But, each tour we want to offer something new and, some different staging, some different looks, some different things. So, so just that, and that's just one band, right? So
Right.
that's just the one band. So, and I'm learning some songs for something else coming up that I got asked to do. So, I'm always sort of partitioning my hard drive in my brain of where the playlists set in my mind,
So what you're saying is it doesn't get easier as you get more and more successful and move along in your career, that there's always...
I think that's a good way. It doesn't get easier because I think, look, I like operating at maximum capacity, or at least, at a good 80, 85%, that's just what gets me off. That's what gets me fucking rocking, man, is when I'm, being, my faculties are being utilized, and to me, that's why the good Lord put me here, it's like,
Right.
I'm here to be used, so let's get to work, and I play bass, and if people want me to play bass, I do that. So that's kind of what it is,
I feel, yeah, and I feel the same way. I mean, I'm not a rock star. I wish I was a rock star, but I'm lucky enough to get to talk to rock stars. So, but I feel like who wants to slow down, right? Like, why miss something?
To slow down to what? To die? I mean, why? You know,
Right.
I was just with some guys this morning. They're my age, are like, look, we're old. I said, you got to stop saying that because
I
you will
agree.
become old. You know, it's like I still feel I have the spirit of when I started as a young kid with the bass, and all the way up to, you know, when I was really rocking, when things really started kind of connecting well in my mid-20s with the career. And you know, it's, you know, you got to take your breaks, of course, to just kind of regroup and refresh, which I did this last week, you know, and now I'm like, all right, it's Monday, let's get going here, right? You know what I mean? So, you know,
Right.
you know, this is what we do. You know, it's you know, I'm not, at least right now, I'm not, you know, a retirement kind of guy, you know. And everybody
No.
says they're retired. You retire to do what? What are we gonna do? Fish? You know,
Right.
No.
like we don't do this, you know. That's not
No.
what we do.
No.
Well,
You know?
I feel like
nobody
you can
gets.
only say you're old. It's all about the inflection.
Yeah.
You can
Mm.
say it with pride,
Yeah.
like that you're old and you're rocking out in a good way. Like my grandma tap danced and well into her 90s, and so she could say, and she was hot. So you could be hot and old and a rock star and say it like with pride. But my brother's 10 years younger than me, and he says he's old every minute of the day and he's creaking, and that's not cool. You can't be.
Here's
It
a
doesn't
better
work.
word: seasoned.
Yeah, there you
Seasoned
go.
is much better. Well seasoned. Yeah,
You've become
exactly.
a veteran, you know.
Exactly.
Like those
Much
are
better.
better words, I think, you know.
Yes,
Well,
I totally agree.
and when you, I mean, look at what you're doing too. It's not really
Right.
ditch digging. It's kind of, yes,
No.
there's the travel, yes, there's the hassle of all of that, but at the end of the night, you get to stand up there and do something, you know, I'm assuming you and many other people would
All
do
of
completely
us.
for free and have done for free.
You
So,
know, there's a select
Yes.
handful of us that got the fairy dust sprinkled on us to say, you know, go to the stage, go to the studio, do this, and I'm one of them, you know. And it's I was talking to a childhood friend yesterday who was in town, and we're just kind of talking about our families. We're good friends growing up and everything, and here we are now at this age, you know, kind of comparing our path. And I'm still doing the same thing I was doing when I was like 11, 12 years old, you know. You know, I used to go in the basement. The basement in Minnesota is where I grew up. You know, that's where I needle drop Iron Maiden records and learned how to play the bass and played music and had my parties. And, you know, that's where life happened for me, you know. And, you know, now it's here in my office, you know, it's just where you know, I you know, watch TV, whatever, go out, do my thing, but I come back home and it's like, I look at the bass. I'm like, all right, let me get working on the next batch of songs, you know, or just because I'm always forward thinking to what the next, you know, what the next event or the next tour is. And again, it's important to take your chill time and decompress a bit and all that kind of stuff. But you know, you know, come home, touch base. It's like you made it around the bases, you know.
right.
You know, use a baseball analogy, you know what I mean? Go
Mhm.
back to the clubhouse, grab a drink, get back out, get up to bat again. Let's go. You know, it's time to run the bases again.
Do you think that's part of your success and the longevity of your career is the fact that you're just like, what the hell else am I going to do? I'm going to go out and play, and we're going to just keep
Yeah.
pushing this thing and just not stop ever.
There is no plan B. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, when you know, parents, and again, I'm a parent, you know, so it's like you want your children to be successful. Well, maybe you should have a plan B. I'm not that. I'm like, you know, it's funny. There's a speaker, John Maxwell, I think is his name, right? And I saw he was advertised for something here in town. And I think it's him. He's the guy who always said, stop focusing on what you're not good at. You know, you're not good at that for a reason because that's what they're supposed to do, right? You're good at this. Focus 100% on what you're good at so you can be great at it. Stop, you know, if you're the long distance runner, stop running sprints. It's not what you're supposed to do. Somebody else is better at the sprint, you know. Stop doing the discus and the javelin. Like, let them do that. Your job is to be the long distance runner. That's your job. And look, rock bands are just a perfect example of that. You know what I mean? It's, you know, if I'm the bass player, don't try to be the drummer, you know, don't try to be the manager, don't try to be the record company, like be the bass player, you know, and I've done a lot of these other things in other areas, but I know the lane that those things exist in. And, you know, so when I venture down those paths, you know, I know that's my role there. You know, my role isn't to, you know, why is David Ellefson trying to be the manager? He's the bass player, you know, so it's, you know, so I think those things are really important, you know, as stay in your lane, as we call it in the Ellefson organization, you know.
It's so hard though. It's so hard because the world wants you to just focus and do it all.
Yeah, and you know, this whole thing of like I'm focusing on my weaknesses, and that's again, I think it's a John Matt. Stop doing that. You know what I mean? Those are your weaknesses for a reason, because the good Lord gave you strengths. Work on your strengths, you know. And look, if you want to work on your weaknesses, it's fine, but just don't expect them to be up here where your strengths are, you know. So save yourself a lifetime of frustration and just go for what you know, go for broke, give it your all, be all in, you know, and you know, it's, you know, I watched that Tom Brady roast last night, which was fucking great. And, you know, at the end of the day, he throws footballs. That's what he does. You know what I mean? That's
right.
Throw footballs, you know. He's not the linebacker. He's not the freaking coach. He doesn't own, you know, I mean, I guess he owns teams now, but, you know, his job is, you know, throw the damn ball. You know, that's what he's the goat at, is throwing the freaking ball, you know. So, you know, same thing. Be fucking great at what your God-given talent is, you know.
That's a t-shirt.
Right.
It should be a t-shirt. Yeah.
It should be a t-shirt. Maybe that's what we're good at. Maybe that's what we would be good at.
That's what we're good at. Yeah.
Just that t-shirt.
There you go. Make that t-shirt. There you go. I'll buy one if you make it.
Yeah, perfect.
No, we will give you one because you came up with it.
Even better.
We will give you several.
So obviously you're kind of at the point where you're prepping for these, you know, like you said, these 2-3 different tours, different legs of it. And, you know, you mentioned you're doing Peace Sells in its entirety. And then in the UK, you're doing selections from Euthanasia.
Yeah.
What has it been like going back, revisiting this music after, you know, some time away from it, relearning your parts? Is it a sense of like a warm, like a, you know, a nicely worn in jacket, or is it, what the hell was I thinking?
Honestly, they come back just like I played them yesterday. They really do. You know, I mean, sometimes there's a little muscle memory, you know, bringing back, like, you know, I haven't played Black Friday in a minute, but I'm telling you, it just came right back. You know, it's the funniest thing how that works, because, you know, look, I'm a part of those songs. Those songs are a part of me. That's just the bottom line. And same with Euthanasia. You know, Sean Drover got me into listening to Euthanasia again. I hadn't listened to it in many, many years. And when he and I were in Megadeth together, he was always talking about what a great album it is. And I just went back and I listened to it. And the funny thing is, with that record, you know, we played those tracks live in the room together. That is not an overdubbed kind of record. I mean, the vocals and solos, of course, get overdubbed. But, you know, as the basic tracks, that's me, Dave, Marty, and Nick cutting those tracks together. We would we'd take 3 takes of each song, right? We'd come in, say 10 in the morning, get your coffee, get tuned, be ready. You know, we'd run a take down top to bottom. Okay, what do we think? That's pretty good. And then we do another one, and you could tell immediately, does this have an energy? Is it nervous? Did it fall apart at a certain section? And if it did, we'd set that to the side, and then we would do a third one, and we'd pick the best one of the 3. Dave and Marty would immediately, you know, double their guitars right there, because that energy's right there. And then we would move on to the next song. And so we got through all of those. I think there's probably 11 songs on the record, and maybe we cut 15 tracks, including some B-sides and stuff. So we got through, you know, if we would do 2 or 3 a day. You know, so it took about, you know, let's say 10 working days, you know, to get all the basic tracks done. And the funny thing is when we were writing the record here in Phoenix, we were outside playing football, and Dave threw the football to me, and it broke my finger. It really broke my ring finger. And so I had to have a cast on it. And I literally was in the studio writing, you know, with this cast on my finger. So I had like these 3 fingers that I could play with, right? And fortunately, that was a simpler record to play the parts. We intentionally kind of wrote bigger grooves and less complex, notey, riffy kind of stuff. But still, I'm like, you know, moving around, and I was trying out some new basses. It's the record I started using the modulus basses, and I even bought a Fender that I used on that record, mostly because the tones were kind of widening out a little bit, so I could use some different instruments. But yeah, so I think by the time we finally started tracking the record, I think the cast was off, but my finger, you know, it's still broken. I mean, it's still messed up, you know, and it'll mess with me once in a while
when it's cold out or rainy.
Stuff. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's how we, then we moved into, singing and solos and everything else. But, that record. So to me, I really like it because I appreciate how tight we were as a band. I mean, at that point, we'd already done, Rest in Peace had been recorded. We toured it, Countdown, written, recorded, toured. So we were on album 3, and it just goes to show how good a band gets, when you've done that much work together. So, I love all the songs on that record, just top to bottom. It's a great listening experience. So we want to, pull out a few cuts. It's funny because the November 1st of this year will be the 30th anniversary, and our tour in the UK is October 24th until November 2nd. So that's why I said, man, let's pop out some, let's honor that. And I think it just got awarded gold over there in the UK as well. So it's one of the higher selling records. Euthanasia, because MTV changed here in America, Euthanasia wasn't one of the highest selling in America, but I think internationally it may have been our highest selling record we ever had, because things were really popping internationally for us.
It's interesting as you plan the tour. Are you planning sort of are the set list shifting from venue to venue as you go back and think about what songs resonate from venue to venue, going, okay, I remember this was like really huge in this town back in the day. Is this one going to be like
that far back? I remember most of it. It's funny what Jeff and I were just talking about, because we were talking about, I just came home from the Overkill tour. And we did a show. So Jeff had just joined the band. He'd recorded his parts on the So Far So Good So What album. So this would have been 1987. And the last couple of shows we had at the end of the years, we did that Christmas on Earth, I think it was called, at Leeds, up in Leeds, England. So we did that, and we headlined. It was Overkill, Testament, Nuclear Assault, Cro-Mags. I think Testament was on it. So it's funny that was, we were the crew back in that day, right? And then we came home. I think we came home, and then we did these 5 or 6 shows up the West Coast right before Christmas that year, and in fact, the photos on the back of the album were taken in Tacoma at the Tacoma Dome. There's a smaller room at the Tacoma Dome that we played at, and that's where those photos were taken. That ended up going on the album. So I mean, everything was crunch time, because then as we turned to 1988, January, we had the tour with Dio, Megadeth, and Sabotage, and then Capitol obviously was really hustling to get the record out, so it would be out in time for that tour, because that was a big arena tour and everything else. So everything was really, moving along on super tight schedules, back in those days.
Well, it's got to be great. Every once in a while, it always hits me where it's like, well, Paul McCartney doesn't sit around and listen to Beatles records. Like, that's weird. And, for any artist to get to go back and listen to their music again, in your instance, for the case of kind of refreshing, relearning, getting ready for this tour, it's a great chance to sort of sit back and appreciate what you've accomplished in your career and go, wow, like you said, these are some really great songs. These are some really great records. Like, not everybody gets that ability to just go like, wow, look what we did. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I go back and I listen to these records. I listen to things specifically for the purposes of as a professional. I'm going to take them on the stage and perform them. So I mean, to me, people ask if I practice, and I do, but I don't sit here and go through major and minor scales and do too much of that stuff. I just don't. That I will do that from time to time, just maybe practice some picking patterns and different things. But to me, everything is intentional and for a purpose. So it's like, a month ago I was deep in Overkill world. Just grinding on these tunes so I could get them right to take them to the stage, and preparation pays off. I never want to walk into something. I have dreams where I literally I'm the band's going on stage and I'm going, they didn't teach me the songs. I don't know what I'm playing. I literally have had dreams like that. I'm like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? And so I maybe that's just some deep core fear I have, to walk out and go, what are we doing? but so I work hard and I practice and I make charts and I try to just be as prepared as possible, so, and if something's farther off in the distance, I don't worry about that right now. I deal with what's coming up next, like what's the next, thing up to bat, and be prepared for that. And like listening to songs like, side B, for instance, of Peace Sells, some things, again, Black Friday, Ain't Superstitious, some things like that now that we've been playing with Kings of Thrash now, they were fun to revisit. And I remember, Black Friday was so hard to play back in the day, and probably partly it's because of the instruments I was playing, these BC Riches, which are pretty big and long necks and stuff, and the height of the instrument. And all of a sudden, now when I play it, I'm like, this isn't that hard. You know what I mean? It's some things are easier to play. So and what you asked earlier, the one song that always hit me is like Hangar 18. It's like, God, if I knew today if I knew then what I knew today, I may have played some other things differently, but I'm like going, sometimes there's only one way to play a part, it's sort of like the song calls for the part, it's like Holy Wars, you can't just sit there and ride E, like that song needs you to you have to jump in and join the party, and play along. And that's, fortunately, I learned how to play guitar when I was very young, just as like a rhythm guitar player. So I could learn, most of the guitar parts so that I could move them over to bass. And so mechanically, I understood how the parts were played, So, that helps. And I'll go back. I'll like listen to So Far So Good So What, and I'll hear things. I'm going, oh my God, that's right. There's this acoustic guitar. Like I didn't know how much Jeff played on So Far So Good So What until we started working together again. And he said, he goes, man, I think he played on pretty much every song. Maybe Into the Lungs of Hell was maybe the only one he didn't touch. There's all the acoustic guitars were all him. There's a lot of parts throughout that whole record that he played on. In my mind, I was kind of, he played 4 solos and that was it. And then as I'm talking to him, he's like, no, I played on all this stuff. And
like, fun.
Yeah, it gave me a greater appreciation for, he walks in with limited time and it's like, oh, by the way, can you play this? Oh, by the way, can you add some guitar here? Oh, by the way, you need some acoustic. So in My Darkest Hour, all that acoustic stuff, that was all Jeff, so he touched pretty much every song on that record.
You can catch David and the rest of the Kings of Thrash on the road June, July, August, all over the world. For more information, you can check out David's website, davidellefson.com, or you can follow the Kings of Thrash. We're there at kingsofthrash.com.
Rock and Roll Grad School is produced by the Professional Production Company. Please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, because your impassioned review is just as honest as us standing backstage waiting to come back on for the encore. For more information, you can check out our website, rockandrollgradschool.com. And like everyone else, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Today's show was recorded and produced by Heidi Hegquist and myself from our world headquarters located on the second floor of the professional office building, centrally located downtown. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing executive producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Good night, drive safe. May all your favorite bands stay together.
Let's go, Whiskey, a go-go!